Should younger investors take more risk early and then begin to become more conservative as they get older? This is a question that I've gotten in 20 years of being a financial advisor, where you have younger clients, you have older clients, and sometimes they come in with these rules of thumb around, hey, if I'm young, I should be taking a lot of risk because I'm young. And if I'm old, I should be really conservative because I don't have time to make up any ups and downs in the market, so therefore I'm going to be conservative. Now, while in finances, sometimes rules of thumb can be helpful for thinking about concepts, but sometimes, depending on the client's goals and objectives, they can be just plain old wrong. And I'm going to give you two specific examples that are going to give you a different way to think about being risky, being conservative, not in terms of age, but in terms of what is your goal and what is your objective. And so here's my first example. And this is a client that I had, very successful family, sold their business, ended up with quite a bit of money, did very well, and was pretty young, mid-40s. And we had a conversation, and while they had 50 years or 40 years to plan for, you would think, okay, this person can be, or based on rules of thumb, should be aggressive because they have a lot of time. However, when we had the conversation, their goal at this point, after having years of running a high-risk business, being stressed, missing family time, they wanted to be as conservative as possible. And they said, hey, if I can be incredibly conservative, not have to worry about what the money's going to do, can I still hit all my goals? And the answer in this case was yes, based on their financial plan. And so taking additional risk or exposing themselves to additional volatility didn't really mean anything to them. All it meant was a more stressful journey and a more stressful investing experience. And if they expose themselves to more volatility just for the potential to have more money, which they wouldn't spend later, it ended up just not being worth it. And so their goal was, I want to do the things I want to do for as long as I want to do them, with who I want to do them, and not have to think about money. They're already there. They've won the game. And so risk becomes a choice once you've reached a certain level. And in this case, they did it pretty young. So let's go to the other side of the spectrum and let's talk about a client I have. They're in their mid-80s. Okay, so they're relatively old. Doing great, and we had the conversation around the portfolio, and the rule of thumb would tell you you should be really conservative with some or all of your money, right? That's what everything's going to tell you. And we had a conversation around risk and volatility, and they said, look, I don't really care about volatility at all. I don't look at this stuff. It's not for me anyways. I said, what do you mean? And they said, I'm never going to be able to spend all this money. This money's for my kids and my grandkids. So take whatever my grandkids' risk tolerance is and apply it to me, because this doesn't really have anything to do with me anymore. I'm in it for them. I'm thinking about my beneficiaries, and I'm thinking about my legacy and my plan. And so you have a 45-year-old that doesn't want to take any risk or any more risk than they absolutely have to. And then you have an 85-year-old that could take risk all the way up. They don't care at all because they're not even looking at it as their money anymore, right? It's not important to them. They're looking at their beneficiaries and they're saying, well, if this were their money, which it will be at some point, what's their risk tolerance? How much do they need or want it to grow? And so when you're thinking about risk, and volatility is really what we're discussing, the ups and downs in the market, how much do you want to expose yourself to? There's really rules of thumb, and then there's what does it mean for you? What is the experience that you want to have? And do you understand the trade-offs between volatility and returns and what's most appropriate for your plan? I hope you found this helpful. And as always, thanks for investing your time with the Personal CFO.